5:47 a.m. My phone buzzes on the nightstand. It's a lark message. Dashboard alert triggered. We need to talk. I open the data science dashboard. The metric is dropping in real time across Southeast Asian markets. 62% accuracy. Not 92%, not 85%, 62%. My gut reaction wasn't professional. It was fear mixed with sadness and deep disappointment. Good morning, everyone. I'm Vladislav Ilchenko. That story that happened a year ago at TikTok Shop. In the next 25 minutes, I'm going to show you how exactly to make sure it never happens to you. Because that failure wasn't random. It was predictable and it was preventable. Here is a pattern I've seen at TikTok, Walmart, and nearly every company building AI. A team builds an AI feature. It works beautifully in testing, 93% accuracy, leadership loves the demo, you get the budget, you launch to 10% of users, and then the metrics break, not slowly, dramatically. Accuracy drops to 62%, conversion collapses, user complaints spike. You are stuck, can't move forward because it's broken, can't move backward because you already committed. But here is a hard truth. This isn't random, it's predictable. Most AI projects fail not because the technology is bad, but because teams evaluate in one context and deploy in another. Lab is clean, production is messy. You test on 50K curated English listings, production has 23 languages, long tail categories, phone camera photos you've never seen. You think you are ready because your prototype works, but the working prototype and the scalable product are two completely different things. That's the prototype trap. 3 days before that alert, we launched something we were genuinely proud of. An AI-powered listing generation system. Sellers upload a product photo and title. Our AI generates optimized listings in 23 languages. The problem, sellers in Southeast Asia were struggling. Poor quality listings, low visibility. We needed to level the playing field. We tested it on curated data, 93% accuracy. Engineering blasted. Senior leadership was excited. But I had two concerns I'd raised in the final meeting. Concern number one, we've only tested with English and Mandarin. What happens with Vietnamese, Thai, Bahasa, Indonesia? Response, the model should generalize, we can monitor post-launch. Concern number two, our test cohort was established sellers with professional photos. What about long-tail sellers? Response, we need to ship or we'll never move fast enough. Both responses were reasonable, both were wrong. But we shipped anyway, because the pressure was real. We had committed to increasing seller NPS by 15 points that quarter. We launched to 10% of sellers globally. For 48 hours, everything looked fine. And then my phone buzzed at 5:47 a.m. By 7 a.m., we had the team on a call. First question, what's broken? We started with obvious hypothesis. Hypothesis number one, latency, data drift, user behavior had shifted. The AI couldn't keep up. We checked, no shift. Hypothesis number two, A/B test contamination, wrong model variant was being served. We checked, flags were correct. By mid-morning, we were stuck. The AI was technically working. It just wasn't generating good listings. That's when someone from Southeast Asia operations said, can I show you what these failed listings actually look like? She pulled up her screen, a listing for a women's blazer, seller in Hanoi, Vietnam. AI generated elegant women professional blazer, perfect for business meetings and formal occasions. Seller's original description, elegant office blazer, suitable for work, attending parties. Do you see the difference? Vietnamese sellers emphasize versatility, work, and parties. That's their cultural selling style. Our AI, trained mostly on US and UK listings, had stripped out that nuance, made it sound more corporate, more generic. And when Southeast Asian buyers saw these AI listings, they felt off. Conversion dropped, not because the AI was broken, but because it was culturally tone deaf. That afternoon, I ran the numbers. If this went unfixed for a year, Southeast Asia is 35% of our GMV. Conversion rate dropped from 8.2 to 5.1%. Early signals showed 6% seller churn. I calculated 60 million in annual GMV dollars at risk. When I presented this to leadership, they approved everything immediately because it wasn't just about this feature. It was about whether sellers would trust any AI tool we built in the future. We had two choices. Option one, roll back, admit defeat. Option two, fix it fast. We chose option two. Within 12 hours, partial rollback, kept the AI for US and UK where it worked, reverted Southeast Asia to manual. Days 2 and 3, root cause diagnosis. When our training data was 78% English language, US, UK sources, but we had zero Vietnamese, Thai, or Bahasa training data. Week 1 and 2, regional model clusters. Instead of one global model, 3. US, UK, Canada, European Union, Southeast Asia. Each trained on region-specific selling patterns and cultural communication styles. Cost, 150K per month in infrastructure plus labor. Result, 91% accuracy across all regions. Timeline, 2 weeks from crisis to launch. Seller NPS went up 18 points. Conversion recovered. Trust was rebuilt. Here's what I learned. You cannot prevent every failure, but you can build systems that catch failures faster and minimize blast radius. And you definitely can't catch them if you are evaluating AI like software. Software is deterministic. Same input equals same output. Bugs are binary. You fix them once. AI is probabilistic. Same input can produce different outputs. Working is a distribution, not a binary entity. Production context is fundamentally different from test conditions. Most teams evaluate AI and ask, does it work? Teams that escape the prototype trap ask, where will it break? And can we detect failures fast enough to recover? That mental model shift is everything. And that's what I'm about to walk you through. A framework that forces you to think through all 4 stages of evaluation before you scale. Because most AI products don't fail because the technology is bad. They fail because teams skipped the thinking. Here is a framework. Stage 1, technical feasibility. Does it work in production reality? Stage 2, user value and adoption. Will users actually trust it? Stage 3, business viability. Can we afford to run it at scale? Stage 4, operational readiness. Is the organization ready? Can we roll back? Most teams stop at stage 1. They ship. That's the prototype trap. The teams that escape evaluate through all 4 before they scale. Let me walk you through each one. Stage 1 is where most teams think they are ready to launch, but they are not. Here is the trap. Teams evaluate AI on averages. production runs on distributions. You test on 50K data points. Accuracy looks great, 89%, 92%, sometimes higher. Engineering gives the green light. So you ship, and that's when it breaks. Because the data you tested on doesn't represent what users will encounter. You tested on high volume categories, production has long tail categories. You tested on clean, labeled data, production is messy. Here is a principle that changes everything. AI is probabilistic, not deterministic. Accuracy is a distribution, not a single number. Don't tell me you have 89% accuracy. Tell me 89% where, on which segments, under which conditions. A few months ago, one of my senior PMs came to me excited. We are ready to launch AI-powered review summarization. We've tested on 50K reviews across 6 product categories. Accuracy is 89%. Can we ship it next week? I asked one question. Did you test on all 50 categories in production? What about collectibles, electronics with technical specs, regulated products? He paused. We focused on high volume categories. We didn't have time to test everything. And there it was, 89% on 6 categories, but 50 in production. He had a mental model problem, not a completeness problem. He was evaluating like software. Does it work? Ship it. But AI doesn't work that way. Here is a mental model shift. Stop asking, does it work? Start asking, where will it break? And can we detect it fast enough to recover? We didn't ship that review feature to 100% on day one. We launched at 5%, monitored conversion as a guardrail metric. If it dropped below baseline, we paused and diagnosed. Then 10%, then 25%. Each stage, we watched for new failure modes. We weren't driving slowly, we were driving fast with controlled risk, because a working prototype is not the same as a scalable product. Stage 2 is where most AI projects quietly die. Not with a bang, with a whimper. You've passed stage 1, technical accuracy is stable, you launch, and adoption is at 15%, then 18%. It plateaus. Your PM panics. Should we add more tooltips, more emails, push notifications, gamification? But that's not the problem. The problem is technical feasibility doesn't guarantee user value. Just because your AI can do something doesn't mean users want it done that way or trust it enough to let it. Here is a principle. Trust is paramount. Winning one segment deeply is better than spreading wide and praying for adoption. Early adopters do not equal mainstream users. Adoption rate without context is meaningless. When we relaunched the TikTok regional models after the 93% to 62% crisis, technical accuracy was rock solid. Stage 1 passed. But stage 2, first week, adoption was low, maybe 12% of eligible sellers. My PM wanted to push notifications. I said, wait, let's watch the cohorts. Week 4, 18%. Week 8, 31%. Week 12, 47%. The adoption curve wasn't linear. It was exponential. Sellers were talking to each other. Word of mouth was doing the work. But here is what also happened. Some segments rejected it entirely. High-end fashion sellers, luxury electronics. Why? They needed deep customization. Our general AI couldn't provide that. And you know what? That was okay, because we learned something critical. Winning one segment deeply is a better signal than going wide and hoping. Here is the stage 2 mental model shift. Stop asking what's our adoption rate. Start asking which segment is adopting, why, and does that represent the future we are building for? Because 40% adoption means nothing without context. 40% of high value sellers who generate 80% of GMV, incredible. 40% of long tail sellers who churn in 3 months, problem. Stage 2 is where you prove that your AI doesn't just work, it delivers value that users recognize and trust. And trust, once lost, takes 10x longer to rebuild. Stage 3 is where you have to do the math that everyone else ignores. Here is a trap. AI looks cheap until you scale it. You build a prototype, inference costs are minimal, maybe $500 per month. Leadership loves it. You go from 1% to 10% to 50%. Suddenly, your infrastructure bill is 100K per month, then 150K per month. And that's just the visible cost. What about data science support, engineering, firefighting, support team training, opportunity cost? The stage 3 trap, infrastructure cost at 10x scale, is the real number, not day one. Here is a principle. If you can't afford to run it at scale, don't launch it. Unit economics at 1% don't predict unit economics at 100%. For the TikTok regional models, here's what the cost structure looked like. Infrastructure, $150K per month, including labor and support. ROI calculation, we are improving conversion by 2.3 percentage points on AI-generated listings. That's 180 million in incremental GMV annually. Payback period, 8 months. Leadership approved it immediately. But here's what surprised me. Each stage of scale required a new launch. We launched at 1%, then 5%, then 25%. Each stage, new edge cases appeared. Most teams underestimate the cost, not just infrastructure, but ongoing iteration and maintenance. Here is the stage 3 mental model shift. Stop asking, can we afford to build this? Start asking, can we afford to run this at scale? And is the ROI, return on investment, worth it? Because sometimes the right decision is stopping something everyone's excited about. We built a generous return policy, full refund up to 60 days, free return shipping. Buyers loved it. Conversion went up, but returns spiked 40%. Sellers started losing margin. The policy was costing us $8 million per quarter in return shipping alone. I had to go to my team and say, we are sunsetting this. That's the hard part of leadership. Stage 3 is about making sure your AI is not just technically feasible and user loved, but economically viable at scale. Stage 4 is where most teams think they are done, but they're not. Here is a trap. AI doesn't fail because of the AI. It fails because of everything around it. You've built a technically solid model. Users are adopting. Unit economics work. You launch at scale. And then support tickets spike because the team doesn't know how to troubleshoot. Policy flags a compliance violation you never considered. And the backend API chokes under load. You can't roll back without breaking downstream systems. Here is the principle. If you can't roll back in under 1 hour, you are not ready to launch. Roll back isn't just flipping a feature flag. It's reverting data states, rerouting traffic, communicating to users without breaking downstream systems. When we relaunched the TikTok regional models, I thought we were ready. Stage 1, technical accuracy stable. Stage 2, adoption ramping. Stage 3, economics validated. We launched. In the first 48 hours, something broke. But it wasn't the AI, it was the backend API gateway. Latency spiked, sellers trying to generate listings saw 8 to 10 second load times instead of 2 seconds. What happened? We hadn't load tested the API gateway at peak traffic. When 20K sellers hit the feature simultaneously, it choked. Stage 4, it's not the AI that kills you, it's the infrastructure around it. But here's why we recovered fast. I built what I call a Captain America defense, multiple fallback layers. Primary regional AI models. Fallback 1, global AI model, lower accuracy but stable. Fallback 2, manual listing creation the old way, the manual way. When the API gateway failed, we automatically routed to fallback 1. Sellers never saw a broken experience. That's operational readiness. Here is the stage 4 mental model shift. Stop asking, is the AI ready? Start asking, is the organization ready? Support, operations, legal, can we roll back? Because the hardest part of stage 4 isn't technical, it's cross-functional alignment. Legal blocked our TikTok launch initially. Why? Because AI generated content for consumer products has legal risk. I had to sit down with legal and ask, what's the minimum viable compliance we need? We worked it out. Disclaimers, AI generated content, verify before purchasing, manual review for high risk categories, self-reporting mechanism for bad content. And you know what? I'm glad legal pushed back. Good constraints make good products. Stage 4 is unglamorous. Support training, legal compliance, rollback capability, API load testing. But it's the difference between escaping the prototype trap and falling back into it at scale. So here is what I wish I'd known 2 years ago when I started scaling AI. It's not a technical thing, it's a leadership thing. Cultural context matters as much as technical accuracy. You can build the most sophisticated AI in the world, but if it doesn't understand how Vietnamese sellers communicate differently than US sellers, it's going to fail. If it doesn't account for regional legal constraints, local market dynamics, and user expectations shaped by culture, it's going to fail. And here is the hard part. You can't predict all of this in advance, but you can build systems that catch failures faster. You can build frameworks that force you to ask the right questions before you scale. That's what the 4-stage evaluation playbook does. It doesn't make you perfect, it makes you systematically better. And that's how you escape the prototype trap. So here is what separates teams that ship broken AI from teams that ship confident AI. It's not smarter people, it's better systems. Most teams evaluate like this: build prototype, test on curated data, get 85% accuracy, ship. They think we are ready. Teams that escape the trap evaluate like this: build prototype, stage 1 stress test. Where will it break? Stage 2 reality check. Will users actually adopt? Stage 3 gut check. Can we afford it at scale? Stage 4 capability check. Can we roll back? Then ship with guardrails. Not is it perfect, but can we detect failures and recover? That's the mental model shift that changes everything. And here is the good news. You don't need months to do this. You need 30 minutes, one Monday morning, one cross-functional team, and the framework that forces you to ask the right questions in the right order. All right, here is how it works. You gather your team: product management, engineer, data scientist, maybe a product manager from a different team who's shipped AI before. That's it. 4 to 5 people. You block 30 minutes on the calendar. Monday morning, preferably fresh minds. Why Monday? Because if you find blockers, you have the whole week to fix them. And you walk through 4 steps. Step 1, assemble. 5 minutes. Before you even look at your AI, you answer these questions. What's our hypothesis? What are we shipping and why? What metrics matter? Which ones would make us roll back? Who's the decision maker? If something breaks, who calls it? What's our rollback plan? If we need to stop, how long does it take? What are the legal compliance flags? Did legal even review this? Don't move to step 2 until everyone agrees on the answers. I've seen teams spend 45 minutes here, worse every second, because vague hypotheses kill AI projects. If you can't articulate clearly what success looks like in 60 seconds, you are not ready. At TikTok, we failed this step initially. Our hypothesis was AI listing generation will improve seller NPS. Sounds great, but it's vague. Better hypothesis, AI generated listings will increase conversion rate by 1.5 percentage points for established sellers in US, UK without increasing support tickets by more than 10%. Now it's testable. Now you have guardrails. Now you know when to stop. Step 1, 5 minutes, get aligned. Step 2, evaluate, 20 minutes. This is where you actually think through all 4 stages. You've got 5 minutes per stage. Stage 1, technical feasibility, 0 to 5 minutes. You ask, where will this break in production? Not, does it work? But on which data segments will it perform poorly? Which edge cases haven't we tested? For the TikTok listing generator, we asked, have we tested all 50 product categories? No, just 6. Have we tested on phone camera photos? No, studio photos only. Have we tested non-English languages? No, 78% English training data. Have we tested on long-tail sellers? No, established sellers only. That's one question. Where will it break? Surfaced $60 million in at-risk GMV. If we hadn't asked it, we would have launched blind. Stage 2, user value and adoption, 5 to 10 minutes. You ask, will users actually use it and trust it? Not, is it technically sound, but which user segment will adopt first? Why? Is that segment representative of the future we are building? For TikTok, we had to ask, will sellers trust AI-generated content? Uncertain, needed to test. Will sellers customize it? Yes, but do we have a good UX for that? What happens if they reject it outright? We need a fallback. We learned high-value sellers adopt fast if they can customize. Long-tail sellers need more hand-holding. That insight shaped our rollout strategy. Stage 3, business viability. You ask, can we afford this? And is the ROI worth it? Not what's the infrastructure cost, but what's the total cost of ownership at scale? Infrastructure plus labor plus support plus opportunity cost, and does the business outcome justify it? For TikTok, infrastructure, 110K per month. Labor, 40K per month. Data science support. Opportunity cost, we are pulling engineering from feature X. ROI, 180 million incremental GMV annually. Payback period, 8 months. Leadership approved immediately because the math was clear. But here is the key. We calculated total cost of ownership, not just infrastructure. Most teams forget the labor cost. That's where projects die silently. Stage 4, operational readiness. You ask, is the organization actually ready? Not, can we technically launch, but can support handle this? Did legal review? Do we have a run book for rollback? Can we roll back in under 1 hour. For TikTok, support training 2 days. They need to understand why accuracy varies by region. Legal review, compliance flags around AI disclosure. Runbook, 3-layer fallback, regional AI, global AI, manual. Rollback time 15 minutes, tested, not theoretical. If rollback took 4 hours, we wouldn't launch, because stage 4 failures are the ones that become PR disasters. They are also the ones you can actually control. So in 20 minutes, you walked through all 4 stages. You know where it will break, you know if users will adopt, you know if you can afford it, you know if you are operationally ready. That's not overthinking, that's thinking. Step 3. Decision, 3 minutes. Based on your 20-minute evaluation, you make one of 3 choices. Choice A, go, all 4 stages look solid, launch with confidence. Choice B, go with guardrails. One stage needs work, but it's manageable, launch to 1%, monitor hard. Choice C, no go. One or more stages are broken. Stop, fix, retry next week. Here is the hard part. You have to actually choose C sometimes. I've been in rooms where we said, we are not ready, let's stop. And leadership said, but we've already committed to customers. And I said, and we'll commit to broken if we launch now. Shipping broken AI is worse than shipping late, because broken trust takes 10x longer to rebuild. At TikTok, we almost chose C. The stage 1 gap on regional data was real. We chose B. Go with guardrails. Launch to 10%. Monitor metrics hard. And that's the move that saved us. Because when accuracy dropped to 62%, we were watching. We caught it fast. We diagnosed it. We fixed it. If we'd launched at 100%, it would have been a different story. Step 4. Document. 2 minutes. You write down blockers we found. Stage 1, regional data gap. Stage 4, support training gap. Next steps. Who fixes what by when. Owners assigned, not the team will handle it. Specific names. Guardrails if we launch. Accuracy threshold. Conversion threshold. Rollback trigger. Decision go or go with guardrails or no go. You email this to your leadership. It takes 2 minutes to write, but it's the artifact that protects you. Because if something goes wrong later, you have the record. We identified this risk, we monitored for it, here's what we did. That's the difference between we didn't see it coming and we managed it. Let me leave you with one last thought. The prototype trap isn't about shipping fast versus shipping slow. It's about shipping blind versus shipping with your eyes open. You can launch in 30 minutes if you have a framework. You can launch in 3 months if you don't have a framework and you're just crossing your fingers. The 4-stage evaluation playbook isn't about slowing you down. It's about making you systematically better at catching failures before they become disasters, better at understanding what users actually need, better at making business cases that stick, better at organizing cross-functional teams around shared questions instead of fighting in silos. And here's what I hope you do Monday morning. Don't use this framework perfectly. Use it massively. Make it yours. Break it. Adopt it. But use something. Because shipping AI without a framework for thinking about it is how you end up at 5:47 a.m. with your phone buzzing. And I would not wish that anyone. Thank you.